Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to break down another series that we just recently found out is taking place. The Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, the series starts in Cleveland with the Cleveland Cavaliers having 64-18 record. Miami winning 2 play-in tournament games with their back against the wall to ultimately be the first team with the 10 seed to get out of the play-in tournament and make the playoffs. So congratulations to Miami and Spoelstra for doing what is usually considered impossible, but when you look at who they played against and how it went, it's not really impossible. The Atlanta Hawks just ended the season just on a horrible note. Not surprising, really, because they're not that great of a team themselves. And in Chicago, even though they played well in the regular season down the stretch, beating my Lakers twice, they didn't have nothing at home against Miami at all. It was embarrassing, really, how Chicago ended their season. So Miami took care of business, man. Spoelstra continues to reign on, doing a lot with a little in a lot of cases. And this is no exception. Miami going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You'd obviously expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the series, but I would tell everybody not so fast as it pertains to how quickly the series may end if you're picking the Cavaliers. I don't know if Miami's not coming in with the right amount of momentum to catch a Cleveland Cavaliers team off guard. And here's another thing that I think is really important about this particular series. Erik Spoelstra has understood that the Cleveland Cavaliers have been in the one spot all season long. He also understood that when he made the play-in tournament that it was a decent chance he'd probably run through with those two teams that he was going to see. The Cleveland Cavaliers didn't know who they were going to play until yesterday when that game ended against the Atlanta Hawks. I think Cleveland is at a disadvantage because you got a great coach who's had all season long to scheme a playoff series against you, and you have had 2 days to scheme a playoff series against him. Not even 2 days. Day and a half, basically. I honestly wonder if that's not going to cost Cleveland a basketball game or two in this series, because Spoelstra is that fantastic. And this Miami team is more than capable of matching the stilts that the Cleveland Cavaliers provide, which is really one of their biggest strengths. The stilts of Evan Mobley and my mind's going blank, but give me just a second. I'll look exactly and know his name. Jarrett Allen. Those are stilts. 2 players that are 7 feet blocking shots. Jarrett's actually 6'9", they say, but with the fro, he's 7 feet. You can't tell the difference. If I'm being completely honest with you, and Evan Mobley is 6'11". Normally, I would say the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to destroy teams because most teams don't have that. The Heat happen to. The Heat happen to have that. And so that's when it becomes a little bit of an issue. They got Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware. That is kind of like the same thing coming at you if you're Cleveland. Davion Mitchell versus Donovan Mitchell. I know they were buddies because Donovan Mitchell was saying, when Davion was drafted, how close they had become and stuff like that. I don't think there's any relation there. But the way that Davion played last night against the Hawks in the overtime showed me that Davion's ready to take his game to another level. Now, obviously, he ain't on Donovan's level, nor am I comparing the two, but you're seeing a parity between the two teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers, their coach could potentially be coach of the year. And his rookie season, but his first year with this squad, he's turned their offense upside down into something that's just incredible. It's just a lot of things here that are, if not parallel, just kind of like interesting. You got Miami and Cleveland. Obviously, I call this the Bron Bowl. LeBron's 2 spots where he won championships. So, of course, the Lakers the 3rd spot. You got the Dean Wade versus Dwayne Wade confusion there. That ain't really a thing, but Dean Wade plays for Cleveland, and that's Wade County down there in Miami. It's just a lot of stuff. Max Strus used to play for the Heat, obviously. Got to the finals with the Heat, was there his whole career. Now he's with Cleveland. He's going to go up against his old squad. I think that's something to circle. It's just a lot of stuff about this situation. It's like, there's a this, there's a that, there's a this, there's a that. And you see it with these two teams. I don't know that Miami isn't almost constructed to be a poor man's Cleveland right now. And when you look at the high upside of Tyler Hero and how well he played in the play-in tournament, you think that if he plays his best, he can create some problems for this Cleveland Cavalier team. You think about the Andrew Wiggins and how Cleveland traded him away as a rookie when they acquired LeBron James for Kevin Love, who also now plays next to him in Miami, going against his old squad, even though I'm not sure how many minutes he would get at this stage in his career. He's still a part of that Miami Heat team. If I'm not mistaken, he ain't retired. He's there. Going up against his old squad. It's just so many storylines for this Heat Cleveland Cavalier matchup. A team that's been going back and forth against each other in the playoffs since LeBron and Wade were going up against one another before they even teamed up in Miami. Like, this is a real interesting playoff series here, y'all. And I don't know if it's being covered that way, but when you talk about some of the more interesting series in this thing, this one to me is as interesting as any series, because I legitimately think the Miami Heat, with the way that they're constructed and with the coach that they have, they almost bring certain alignment with the Heat. They're not in the same space, and the Heat have had a terrible season. But the Heat are known for having terrible seasons and then coming in and knocking off good teams. They've done it with the Boston Celtics. Cleveland is in a position to where I would not be totally surprised if they find themselves in a dogfight with this team, this Heat team. I would not be surprised, man. Sometimes you can be the best team in the league, and you run into a team that's like the 8th seed that loses to everybody else, but is aligned properly matchup-wise to attack you in ways that you can attack them, or attack you in ways that you don't want to be attacked. That's what I see here. This Miami Heat team matches up with this Cleveland Cavaliers team. They have parity if the Miami Heat players play at their best and the Cleveland Cavaliers players play average. Cleveland's going to have to elevate their game and play in a way that speaks to them being the number 1 overall seed in order to beat this Heat team. You can't putt through this series if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers thinking this Heat team, the number 10 seed, sucked all year. They're going to suck right now. I think that's a massive mistake for a plethora of reasons. I think it's a massive mistake. And I'm not saying I don't have confidence in the Cleveland Cavaliers, because I'm the guy that has had more confidence in the Cavs than a lot of people have. I personally have been saying the Cavs have been the best team in the Eastern Conference all year. Boston, go to hell. But this matchup is going to take a pound of flesh out of Cleveland, man. And I don't think they can afford a Darius Garland injury or a Donovan Mitchell's injury in this series. Not with Spoelstra scheming against you. Not with them knowing Max Strus so well. You know, that kind of thing. It's just not with them having those centers that are going to be a trouble for you. Trouble for you. You know, Bam Adebayo, with the experience that he now has, I would argue he has more experience than Mobley. I think that's safe to say. Mobley has had a massive to do with how well this Cleveland Cavaliers team has been doing. I don't think he wanted to have Bam Adebayo matched up with him in the first round of the playoffs this year. I like Mobley a lot. All-star level player. One of my favorite young players in this league. There are a million people I would have rather have him have matched up against him than Bam Adebayo at the 4 to match up with him. No, absolutely not. I just would say no. This is going to be a tough series for Evan Mobley. If that matchup plays out the way I think it's going to play out, Bam might get the best of him and neutralize him to a degree, playing underneath his averages, which is what the Cavaliers probably do not want to deal with. They don't want that. So this is a lot of stuff about this thing, man. I look at the depth of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me see what they got, man, their roster. Darius Garland is going to be huge, obviously, but he's also got a lot to deal with. DeAndre Hunter is a huge acquisition, ex-Hawk. You know, I think he provides a lot. Ty Jerome is a hell of a role player. He's had a fantastic season, but is he really that? Sam Merrill, same thing. Fantastic season role player. Is he really that? I think this Cleveland Cavaliers team has been incredible machine. And they found so much out of guys that you would expect to not get as much from. And that's why they're where they're at. That's not a fluke. And that double center thing that they utilize, coupled with their ball movement, shot making, it's just fantastic. It's been fantastic all year long. But they do have some stuff on the back of this bench that I'm not excited about. But it doesn't mean that stuff can't continue to play great. And that's what it's been doing. I'm not excited about Ty Jerome. I'm not excited about Sam Merrill. I'm not overly excited about Tristan Thompson, Luke Travers. I love Jalen Tyson, but he hasn't been getting minutes. Dean Wade has played great, developed great, but am I excited about him? No. Isaac Okoro's a nice small forward, defensively athletic, kind of had some injury issues. Am I excited about him? No. Cleveland's roster has overachieved to the absolute maximum, probably more so than any team in recent memory. Their roster is not even close to as good as they've been playing all season long. It's not even close. And that's why Kenny Atkinson, their coach, is definitely the coach of the year. He's most definitely the coach of the year because this roster is solid, but he has it playing like it's the best thing ever anyone has ever seen. Is there going to be that in these playoffs? Or we're going to start seeing some pullback against a matchup that doesn't really allow for them to flex on paper. When I look at this Miami Heat roster, I don't see stuff that I'm that much more excited about, but there is some stuff here that I am particularly interested in comparison. You know, I'm looking at Bam Adebayo, of course, but they got Kyle Anderson in Miami now. He's going to be a headache in this series as he is everywhere he goes. So if he gets minutes, which I believe he will get in this system, he's going to be a thorn in somebody's side. Alec Burks, a role player for a long time, been hitting shots for a long time, tends to run streaky no matter where he goes. He's played for a million teams. I remember when he crossed up Kobe when he played for the Utah Jazz. I never forgot that. I was watching that with my mother. It's been a long time. Alec Burks is still around. He's a baller. He's a gamer, and he's going to be a problem when he gets on the floor. Josh Christopher, athletic young player. I don't know if he's going to get any minutes, but he's always somebody with a good level of upside that they can deploy in garbage time. I think he's better than that, but that's just what his role has been in this league. Tyler Hero, all-star. Is he going to offset one of those two superstars for the Cleveland Cavaliers? One of those two guards, he's going to have to. Basically is what I'm saying to you. He's going to have to. He's going to have to play amazing to offset either Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. And I think that's where the Cleveland Cavaliers can really flex. They have two of them. Miami only has one of them. If Miami had, let's say, and this is going to be extreme, but let's say they added De'Aaron Fox and put him next to Tyler Hero, now this series is comparable. Because that's what Cleveland has. But Miami's a bit more mortal in that way. And that's just is what it is. That's the difference in the series. And that's why I think Cleveland can't necessarily afford to lose either one of those players. But as long as they're both playing like themselves, they should overpower the Miami Heat guard situation. Andrew Wiggins ain't going to play up to that level. Terry Rozier at this point ain't playing at that level. Davion Mitchell, like I said, he looked great, but I don't expect him to play like that every night. You know, and that's where things start to get a little normal, basically, is what I'm saying to you. Hayward Highsmith is a player who's also going to be a thorn in somebody's side in Cleveland. He's going to be a thorn. Defensive player, can stretch the floor with the corner three, drives at the rim. Him playing his best is not fun to deal with. Jaime Jaquez, same thing. We know what he can do. Kind of taking, I'm not going to say he's taking some steps back because I ain't been playing close enough attention to him, but you ain't been hearing his name as much. Maybe he can have a good playoffs. If he plays his best ball, that could really help. He's going to push some people around. Utilizing his size makes sense to me. It's listed at 225, 6'6". I think he's a little heavier than that. He should be utilized, man. Jaime Jaquez should definitely be utilized. Nikola Jovic, I believe, is hurt, man, but it would really help the Heat if he were available. I didn't see him on the injury report, so he may be available for the playoffs. He had some moments in the season where he had some fantasy relevance for the first time in his career. Only 21 years of age. If he can get back to that, I think he could give his team a chance. very high-level role player at this point, Nikola Jovic, with, I think, starter to all-star upside. And so I don't know what type of role he'll have. Like I said, he's been dealing with injuries for the last couple of months. But before those injuries started hitting, he really was one of the better players on the Heat. So they're going to need him. I don't know if they're going to have him, but they're going to need him. Pelle Lawson's also a nice rookie out of Arizona. I've been mentioning his name a lot lately. He's been hitting some shots. He'll have a 14-point game here or there. Don't know if he'll be available in the playoffs as a piece that Spoelstra is going to want to use. But I think the upside there is good. I think he's going to be pretty good, man. Duncan Robinson, can he hit shots in this series to offset the Ty Jeromes and Dean Wades? Because it would be really good for them if they can get a lot out of Duncan Robinson in this series. Terry Rozier, if you could just tap into Terry Rozier, obviously it's playoff time. I know he's got some stuff off the court that he's dealing with, and I think he's in the doghouse. And he might be a bit on the washed side, to be honest with you. But this is a series where if he could just find his confidence and just step back into who he was with the Charlotte Hornets, he could really create some problems for the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. But I'm not counting on that. He's basically out of the rotation. Like I said, the off-the-court stuff is serious, I think. I don't expect to see him very much. But it's needed that he just snap out of that and just be his old self. It's needed. And if he could do that, then he could help Tyler Hero in that backcourt try to offset the backcourt of the Cleveland Cavaliers is what I'm trying to say. But I don't think that's happening. And that's one of the biggest problems of the Heat right now. They need to turn Terry Rozier into somebody who was Terry Rozier, who he used to be. They need to find that player. Maybe that can be Davion Mitchell in this series, but I don't think so. And so that's the problem. I still think the Cleveland Cavaliers, when I look at the roster, I still think the Cleveland Cavaliers have some stuff that the Miami Heat probably can't deal with, and they will probably beat them because of it. But they match up. It's like a poor man's rich man type of thing. The Heat roster is a poor man's Cleveland Cavaliers roster, and if that Cleveland Cavaliers roster loses pieces, it can be a problem. The Bam Adebayo factor is a real one. Tyler Hero, same thing. Khalil Ware's length with Bam Adebayo, truly a problem. And if they can get Jovic out there, you can add him to that as well as 6'10". Andrew Wiggins, defense is going to be part of this. If he steps into his two-way ability and has him a 30-point game, for which he's capable of doing, he's already won a championship with Golden State. They're going to need him to have a really, really fantastic series in order for them to be able to push the Cavaliers. Because if he's having an off series, this is going to be over in like 4 or 5. They need Andrew bad. But the defensive upside of this Miami Heat team, I just am starting to understand is a real thing. Davion Mitchell, Khalil Ware, Andrew Wiggins, Hayward Highsmith, Kyle Anderson, Bam, if I didn't already mention him, Davion, all these names, these guys can play defense, man. They can play defense, and they're going to have to. They're going to have to against this Cleveland Cavaliers team because Cleveland is coming. We know that. They've been playing on a string all year long, have some of the best ball movement I've seen from a team in a couple of years. They were beautiful to watch against my Lakers. They were beautiful to watch against the OKC Thunder in that game that they had. It was a thriller earlier in the year. This Cleveland Cavaliers team is not a fluke. I am a believer in them as a machine. Their pieces here and there aren't enticing anybody to any type of inspiration. But together, sometimes you just get the perfect mix of ingredients, and it can just be successful. And that is what we've seen. Cavaliers have been that all season long in a very special way. Their experience with one another, having this team been together for the most part, I think is important going into these playoffs. And I do expect for them to move on from the Miami Heat, but I do expect the Miami Heat to make a hell of a series out of this damn thing. A hell of a series, especially when you have Spoelstra having more time to prepare for you than you have to prepare for him. I think that costs you about 2 games in this series. I really do. I think it could potentially cost you 2 games. Now, Spoelstra ain't out there running around. I've always said if the Miami Heat just did a much better job of asset management and value management, they would have given him probably 2 championship teams since LeBron left. But because they have sucked in that area, they don't have all that they need to really match up against a team like Cleveland, who hasn't had that issue. And I think that's the problem. That is the problem. It's not on the court. It's how the team has been managed over the last several years that it just overall ate away at their talent, their choices in bringing in certain players on the roster in Miami. They're starting to clean it up. It's getting better, but they still got a long way to go before they're on a level like Cleveland right now. And so that's the problem. I trust Spoelstra to be able to outcoach just about anybody in this league. I trust Bam Adebayo to guard just about any four in this league, especially now that they got Khalil Ware in place to make it so they have to play the five. He can guard anybody pretty much. And so the winning factor there, I just think Bam is a winner, in my opinion. And Tyler Hero is showing that he's starting to really get comfortable in big moments, and he's healthy. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, at the end of the day, man, there's one thing that must be understood. This is playoff time, and that's Donovan Mitchell. And Donovan Mitchell is one of the more fantastic playoff performers that has yet to win a ring in this era of basketball. This dude is great. We've seen him and go at it in historic ways. I always bring up the matchup between him and Jamal Murray. It was one of the greatest playoff duels in NBA history. And so that is no exaggeration. He is one of the best performers in the playoffs. I expect for him to be big. Injuries robbed him of his playoff opportunity last year. He's healthy right now. He gonna put the Heat away. He is. It's gonna be night-night with him. And with Darius Garland continuing to develop, already an all-star so early, two-time all-star already, I expect for him to have a big playoffs as well. And, early on when they first got together, it looked like that backcourt wasn't going to work. They weren't all that happy with it. But you fast forward to where we are right now, and it seems like they're long away from those issues. It's seamless. They know how to work with one another, and their ball movement is fantastic. And when you could couple that with the length that they have in the paint with those two stilts, and then you look at the role players that just have been great executing shooters all year long, I just don't see a whole lot wrong with the Cleveland Cavaliers at the end of the day. And the DeAndre Hunter acquisition soups them up even more because we know he's had a career year as well. Great place for his contract to land. So at this point, with everything that I've said, I do believe Miami's going to push Cleveland to 6 games. But I think Cleveland will win this series in 6 games. The play-in tournament kind of hurts the Cleveland Cavaliers in theory, because you just have to wait so long to get an opportunity to know who you're playing and scheme against them. And that can really hurt you when you're going up against a Miami Heat team that's starting to play their best ball going into your series. And so I would not be at all surprised if the Miami Heat win the first game in this series. But I do think at the end of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers, their brand of basketball, should overpower a Heat team that just doesn't have as much talent on the roster. And even though Spoelstra is the better coach, the coach of the Cavs has been coaching so well all season long that you have to respect him as the coach of the year. So you don't think coaching is going to be a deficiency for the Cavaliers, even though he is a bit outclassed by Spoelstra, which, is going to be fun to watch how they handle this. And remember, Kenny Atkinson with the greatness of how he's coached the regular season, the playoffs is a different animal, and we're gonna have to see if he's able to continue to dominate when he has the same teams coming at him over and over again, scheming against him. How is his adjustments going to be? He killed in the regular season when he had different people to see every night. You're gonna have the same team to see 7 times, and that's one of the best strategists on the planet. That could prove to be a problem for Kenny. It's a different beast when you deal with the playoffs. So I still think he's gonna win, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the Heat push this thing to 7. I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I'm picking Cleveland in 6. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland sweeps either, because Miami's been a rollover team all year long. They were 10 seed for a reason. But there's just certain things in this series that leads me to believe that even if it is a short series, these could be overtime games. These could be close games. The Heat could have big leads that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to have to get back in the game in order to win. I just think this is going to be a much more competitive 1-8 series than people expect. And so that's why I'm calling Cleveland is 6 with the potential to this go 7. No surprise at all if this goes 7. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDF44. Oh, let me tell you when the game is going to start. The series does start on Sunday. I don't want to be not thorough here and letting people know when this series starts. Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, that's the third game tomorrow. And I think it's going to be a series to watch. I really do. I think this series is one to watch. BDL44. I thank y'all for watching.